Chloe. This is news anchor Sheila Woodell, coming to you outside of Granny's house, where the story is still unfolding. I was able to catch Little Red Riding Hood herself and get her side of the story. Let's see what she had to say. Little Red Riding Hood, retold and illustrated by James Marshall, and read by Sheila Woodell. A long time ago, in a simple cottage beside the deep, dark woods, there lived a pretty child called Little Red Riding Hood. She was kind and considerate, and everybody loved her. One afternoon, Red Riding Hood's mother called to her. "Granny isn't feeling up to snuff today," she said, "so I've baked her favorite custard as a little surprise. Be a good girl and take it to her, will you?" Red Riding Hood was delighted. She loved going to Granny's, even though that meant crossing the deep, dark woods. She's got some cats. When the custard had cooled, Red Riding Hood's mother wrapped it up and put it in a basket. "Now, whatever you do," she said, "go straight to Granny's and don't tarry." That means no wait. "Do not speak to strangers." "Yes, Mama," said Little Red Riding Hood as sweetly as she could. Before long, she was in the deepest part of the woods. "Oh," she said, "this is scary." The woods have their own opinion about this whole story. They're trying to speak to us now. Suddenly, a large wolf appeared. "Good afternoon, my dear," he said. "Care to stop for a little chat?" "Oh, gracious me," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Mama said not to speak to any strangers." "Does he look like a stranger to you?" "I'm just telling you." "Who knows? Who's the stranger here? Is it the wolf? Or is it Red? Who goes in the woods wearing a red cape? I mean, come on." But the wolf had such charming manners. "And where are you going, sweet thing?" he said. "I'm on my way to visit Granny, who lives in the pretty yellow house on the other side of the woods," said Little Red Riding Hood. "She's feeling poorly, and I'm taking her a surprise." "You don't say," said the wolf. Just then he had a delightful idea. "No reason why I can't eat both of them," he thought. "Allow me to escort you," he said. "You never know what might be lurking about." "Oh, you're so kind," said Little Red. Beyond the forest, they came to a patch of sunflowers. "Why not pick a few?" suggested the wolf. "Grannies love flowers, you know." But while Red Riding Hood was picking a pretty bouquet, the clever wolf hurried on ahead to Granny's house. See him scampering away? What? She is way up in there. She climbed that sunflower. I heard it knock. "Who is it?" called out Granny. "It is I, your delicious, darling granddaughter," said the wolf in a high-pitched voice. "The door is unlocked," said Granny. "Look at her toes sticking out of the covers. She must have been a little warm." "Surprise!" called the wolf. Granny was furious at having her reading interrupted. Look at all of her books. She's been reading for a while. Get out of here, you horrid thing, she called. But the wolf gobbled her right up. He didn't even bother to chew. Tasty, he said, patting his belly. So tasty. Just then he heard footsteps on the garden path. Here comes dessert. And losing no time, he put on Granny's cap and glasses, jumped into bed, and pulled up the covers. Now, does that look like Granny's feet? Whoop! Who is it? He called out in his sweetest granny voice. It is I, your little granddaughter, said Red Riding Hood. The door is unlocked, said the wolf. Red Riding Hood was distressed at seeing her grandma so changed. Why, Granny, she said, what big eyes you have. The better to see you with, my dear, said the wolf. And Granny, what long arms you have. The better to hug you, my dear, said the wolf. And Granny, what big teeth you have. Uh-oh, what's happened next? The better to eat you, my dear, called the wolf. Oh no, look at that. I think I would have run away. And he gobbled her right up. I'm so wicked, he said. So wicked. But really he was enormously pleased with himself. And having enjoyed such a heavy meal, he was soon snoring away. A hunter passing by was alarmed by the frightful racket. That doesn't sound like Granny, he said. And so the brave hunter jumped in the window, killed the sleeping wolf, excuse me, and cut him open. Out jumped Granny and Red Riding Hood. We're ever so grateful, said Red Riding Hood. The wicked wolf won't trouble you again, said the hunter. It is so dark in there. I couldn't read a word, said Granny. Red Riding Hood promised never, ever to speak to another stranger, charming manners or not.